Another film I want to talk about today on the Movie Zone tonight. It's tonight now, but today maybe when you're watching it, whatever. Another film I want to talk about is a film I seen just last week in the cinema. It's definitely getting brilliant rave reviews. I had very mixed reviews before going to see it, and I definitely would recommend it to anybody out there to go see it if you haven't seen it. This one's still in the cinema. It is Skyfall, the new 007 movie. I'm not a person that has watched the Bond films over the last few years. I watched them when they came to Sky, watched them on DVD, but I never went to the cinema to see them because I always found with a lot of the films I was let down a bit because they're very repetitive, in my opinion. For a Bond enthusiast, somebody that really is in-depth follower of Bond movies, they would be totally arguing with that, and I will agree that if you're more into something like I am with certain things, you do disagree with people who are just looking at it as a reviewer or someone that isn't totally delved into that thing, to that subject. But right now I'm talking as an outsider who isn't totally delved into Bond. I went through a few wee phases in a few years ago where I bought the DVDs and tried to get really into it, but I found it hard to get really into the Bond stuff. But James Bond 007 Skyfall is definitely something different. It's cut off a different cloth, and very well done. Very well structured, if you will. Very well done as far as going somewhere else that the Bond films never really went in the last while. Daniel Craig yet again proving that he is a totally different idea of a totally different reimagination of a Bond character. I would say Daniel Craig, he's happy to continue this whole thing as Bond, and he's saying that he is definitely able to leave the Bond character with the movies and go on and do other stuff, because he has proved himself in films such as Defiance and other films that he's been in the last couple of years, last few years. Craig really is pushing the bar as far as being what a Hollywood actor and British actor is. You know, he's really proven himself in the world of film, which is great to see. As far as him being the best Bond yet, I don't know, because he's very different. Like, when you think about it, Sean Connery was very brilliant for his time. Hard to beat Sean Connery. Absolute legend, and he deserves everything they say about him. I think that he deserves all the accolades he gets because he was the original James Bond. It's hard to beat the original of anything. Next up then, your man, what was his name? Nicholas Ashbury, or Nicholas Nickleby, or whatever you called him. But he was the guy that came in for the one film, and he was on Her Majesty's Secret Service, wasn't it? And then they kicked him out the door and got Connery back for another couple of films. And after that, then it was Roger Moore, who was always thought of as a very suave Bond, very posh, very kind of gentleman James Bond. Roger Moore, he was okay. I thought he was okay. I liked a couple of his 80s films. I think the one, A View to a Kill, was very good with Roger Moore. A couple of other films late on were good. But he was probably, out of the 4 or 5 good Bonds, he was probably the bottom of the pecking order. I would say then, next then of course was Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton brought a new dimension to the whole Bond thing. Very good films. The Living Daylights, 1987. License to Kill, 1989. Great stuff. Dalton proved himself to be a good James Bond, and I think he could have went on and done a few more. You can see Daniel Craig very like that Dalton persona as James Bond in the 007 films. And then after Timothy Dalton came along, it was none other than Pierce Brosnan, the Irish actor. And that brought another dimension to the Bond saga, and I would say you could say that Brosnan was up there with Sean Connery. Different era, different generation, but you would say that Brosnan was as good for his time as Sean Connery was back in the 60s and 70s. And very good stuff from Pierce Brosnan. Definitely good stuff from Brosnan. His films: GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, GoldenEye 95, Tomorrow Never Dies 1997, films such as The World Is Not Enough 1999, films such as Die Another Day. Very good stuff from Pierce Brosnan. 4 or 5 Bond films, I think it was 4. He stood the test of time as Bond. He's that man that done the second most amount of Bond films. After Brosnan, it was none other than Daniel Craig. After a few years of no Bond movies, Daniel Craig came in with the new Casino Royale movie. Now, there was a Casino Royale movie way back when, but that movie wasn't an official Bond movie. That movie was thought of as a skit of James Bond, if you will. But the movie from the Casino Royale movie that Daniel Craig done was a very good movie indeed. That was the start of his run as Bond, and then he came in a couple of years later again and done The Quantum of Solace, which was a decent film. Wasn't great in my opinion by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but it was okay. And then now his latest one, of course, as you know, is this one, which I've seen and I thought was very, very good. That is Skyfall. So I'm sure we will see more from Daniel Craig. He looks to be very happy to be Bond, and he will do more in the future, hopefully.
What do you say about a man like that?
3 months ago, you lost the drive containing the identity of every agent embedded in terrorist organizations across the globe.
I made a judgment call.
There isn't much road left.
Take the bloody shot!
.007 reporting for duty.
Where the hell have you been?
Enjoying death.
I only have one question. Why not stay dead? There's no shame in saying you've lost a step.
I'm your new quartermaster.
You must be joking.
Author PPKS 9mm short. It's been coded to your palm print so only you can fire it. Less of a random killing machine, more of a personal statement.
Q.
007.
I want to meet your employer.
Be careful what you wish for.
Mister.
Bond. James Bond.
How much do you know about fear?
All there is.
Not like this. Not like him.
Just look at you, chasing spies. England, the Empire. MI6. So old-fashioned. She sent you after me knowing you're not ready, knowing you would likely die. Mommy was very bad. The 2 survivors. This is what she made us.
Everybody needs a hobby.
So what's yours?
Resurrection.